Bienvenue to Bonjour Paris Live. Our online event series, free for Bonjour Paris members, offers expert lectures, discovery talks, and conversations about la vie française. In between your trips to France, we're here to inspire you. Bonjour Paris has been online since 1995, almost as old as the internet itself. Our website is packed with interesting articles about the culture and history of Paris. And now, thanks to the support of our growing membership base, we're able to showcase new offerings like video and online talks. For details about all the benefits of Bonjour Paris membership, visit our membership page on our website. Enjoy today's presentation and à bientôt!
Welcome to Bonjour Paris Live. I am Sylvia Davis, Culture Editor for France Media, and your host today for a talk with Vivian Song and Joel Holland on their book about best-loved Parisian shopfronts. And today, as an extra treat, publishers Prestel have kindly provided a copy to give away among you, so stay tuned. And a quick note, as always, this event will be recorded, so don't worry if you can't keep up taking notes. We'll be in touch with a link, and you can watch it again, look up any of the information mentioned. And if you've experienced connection difficulties, it's best to sign out and sign back in with the same link. We do our best to keep these events under 1 hour, and you can ask your questions at any time via the Q&A button. So let's get to it. And now I invite Vivian and Joel to start their video. Hi, Vivian. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Sid.
Hi, Joel. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Joel, you are joining us from New York.
Yes, that's correct.
And Vivian in Paris. Yes. So welcome, and let me introduce you. Vivian Song is a Paris-based journalist who splits her time as a France-based news journalist and feature writer for publications like The New York Times, CNN, BBC, Rob Report, Eater, and Lonely Planet, among others. Vivian speaks French fluently. Joel Holland is an illustrator who has lived in New York City for over 20 years. His work has graced the New York Times, the New Yorker, Apple store windows across the world, and numerous book covers. He is the author of New York Storefronts, London Shopfronts, and Brooklyn Storefronts, all published by Prestel. So welcome again. And I think the best way to start would be if you could tell us how you start the process. How do these books come to be?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Joel. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Bonjour Paris Live for having us. It's really nice to be here. How we start is a bit complicated. I have to go back. Is that okay with you? All right.
Absolutely.
So I'm an illustrator. I've been working as such for 25 or so years. And my career started as an editorial illustrator for magazines. And eventually I started getting work designing book covers as well, which led me into the world of hand lettering. And I'm basing all of this on going back and looking at my sketchbooks, doing some research. And I've discovered that I think it was that attachment to hand lettering it's drawn me to hand-painted signage, things like that I could always use as reference. And I think what happened was that interest connected to storefronts. And that was like the seed that developed this whole thing. So I can look back in my sketchbooks and see, a barbershop in Rome that I didn't get a chance to go to. Like one of my favorite grocery stores in Brooklyn when I lived there, travels to Los Angeles and other places. And that kind of interest is where this started. Then I would say I fast forward to COVID, where luckily I had a lot of free time on my hands, and thankfully for me and my family, everybody was okay. But I have these things that I do with my family and my kids where we go on different adventures around the city, New York City, And we couldn't go to those places. So one of the things I was doing was trying to just capture some of that energy of that we would get from going to the candy store and the place we get a slushie and the place we get a sandwich or something. And that turned into me trying to, in some ways, support these places that I love that I could no longer go to, because I've started to learn how important these places are to the life of a community. After about 200 or so drawings, I was thinking myself about turning it into a book. And I made proposals, sent them out to agents, publishers, the whole thing, and they were all rejected. And I was thinking of just going the self-publishing route. And out of the blue, and I was posting these drawings on Instagram and like making these advertisements that restaurants and businesses didn't actually ask for, but hopefully it helped them in some way. And in the process, I gained some followers, and one of whom was this person I never heard of before, Ali Gitlow, who was an editor at Prestel. She asked me about my interest in making a book. I said yes very quickly because I was so happy about it, and it's sprouted from there. Our process. So our first book, that was our first book, NYC Storefronts, where the drawings were pretty much already made. We just compiled it into a book. We had a writer, David Dodge, write up pieces about each place. And the book is fantastic. It's doing well. That led to London Shopfronts, where we had the writer Rosie Hewitson write up in the same way. After that was Brooklyn Storefronts, etc. So all of that gave us the experience of how we compiled a list, what kind of writer we look for, what kind of businesses we want to include. All of that formula led us to Vivian. Should I go on? Or do you have any questions?
I think that, well, first of all, congratulations. The getting contacted by a publisher is like there's no leopard situation. So congratulations, and the book is absolutely fantastic, and you will be showing us some examples in a minute. So yes, please, Vivian, tell us how you found each other.
I'm laughing because Joel and I just had this conversation because we don't really know. I mean, I was curious as well as to how they found me. I think it's been a few years now, but in any case, I too had the really good fortune of Ali approaching me with the proposal. So for me, this project started in 2023 in August. And when I got the email, it seemed really daunting at first. How do I whittle down Paris to 200 shops? Where do I start? What do we include? What do we exclude? But Joel and Ali, having done these books before, they were able to give me some good guidance. And I came to understand that my role was really to tell the backstories and the histories of these places and why they deserve attention. So I'm going to, unless Joel, if you want to interject, or Sylvia, if you want to interject, go ahead.
I do, actually.
Okay, so good.
Don't downplay your role, Vivian, in that not only were you just finding the information about these places, but you were very instrumental in compiling that list. So for New York, I was able to do the list all by myself. It's like a labor of love kind of thing. For London, that was the learning process of leaning on Rosie but learning the vocabulary of what to ask her to look for. By the time we got to Vivian, I think we had a tighter formula of the kind of businesses we'd like to include. And I think, Vivian, so stop me if any of this is in what you were preparing, but our goal was to be very inclusive, very diverse. I feel like the books have gotten better and better because of this. Like if you look at the New York book, you know where to find me because it's basically where I go. But for London and Brooklyn, we honed that in even more to cover more geographic, to be fair, more fair geographically. And also, I don't know what it's called, but like type of business that we would include. So we conveyed that to Vivian, like, very diverse, highbrow, lowbrow, the popular ones, places nobody's heard of, the cool spots, or ignore the cool spots kind of stuff. And we threw all that at Vivian. And I think that that's a daunting and overwhelming challenge. But if you, like, now that the book is physically in our hands, like, it's like solid gold, so good. But again, Vivian, don't downplay what you did. Like, the selection process was primarily hers, because I often get asked, how was going to Paris to do this research? It would be impossible for me to do it. I don't live there. I couldn't do it in the way that she did to make it a good book. And that's what she did.
Thanks so much. It was very daunting. It was very daunting. And maybe I'll give you just a short background. Sylvia did a great intro, but so I'm Korean Canadian, and I moved to Paris from Toronto in 2010. So I've been here for now 15 years. And I started my journalism career back in Toronto doing general assignment breaking news. Here in Paris, I was a food and travel editor, and now I'm freelance. And I, as Sylvia mentioned, I do both news and features, lifestyle, and investigative. But so while doing this, while compiling the list, under Ali and Joel's guidance, I really wanted to, my hope was that the book would appeal to everyone. So for first-time visitors, for aspiring visitors, we have the heavy hitters. We have your iconic historic cafés, bistros, bookshops that, everyone kind of knows. But we also have newer and niche addresses that I hope will surprise or appeal to repeat visitors and Paris residents. And so readers my vision was that they'd be able to walk away with some interesting factoids that they can put in their back pockets and, retrieve mentally when they're walking down the streets and say to themselves, oh yeah, I remember seeing this shop in the book, and I remember that really interesting fact. But I also want to make you rethink what you already know. So, for example, Ladurée, it's a global macaron brand. We all know, most of us, know. Some of us have a macaron a Ladurée in our city. But what I wanted to do with this location was take you back to the original location where it all started on Rue Royale. So the one on Champs-Élysées is well known because it's palatial. It's, it gets lots of foot traffic. But this one on Rue Royale was where it started, but it was also one of the first to pioneer the concept of the female-friendly sit-in tea salon. And so remember, back at this time, women didn't have the luxury of being able to go out in a public space without the company of men, alone, without the chaperone of a man. So in today's parlance, you could call this place the first, safe space for women. So I just thought that was a really interesting concept, the fact that we have that people may not know about Ladurée. And then also in the last few months, they've renovated the space, the tea salons, and it was renovated under the artistic director, the current artistic director of Maison Dior. So it's very tastefully done, really beautiful. While writing, I also wanted to slip in some cultural context and factoids to help readers understand a little bit more about France and Paris culture and maybe break a few stereotypes. So, for instance, there's a cat cafe in the book. I personally love cats. But in researching this, I understood that actually, you have that image, the stereotype of Parisians with their small yappy dogs tucked into their designer handbags. That's kind of the image we have. But in fact, there are more cat owners in Paris, actually more than double cat owners in Paris than dog owners, which I thought was fun, Perhaps, a stereotype that we all have, but actually, in fact, it's not. Another one, sorry, I have notes that I'm looking down, but another interesting one I thought to include was a manga shop, because in actual fact, French consumers are the second biggest readers of manga, second biggest consumers of manga in the world after Japanese readers. And even if you may not be, even if you as a reader are not a manga reader, maybe you have a niece or a nephew who loves manga. You could go into the shop and get a great figurine or game or toy or manga as a souvenir for loved ones back home. So as Joel mentioned, the point was to really attempt to appeal to a wide variety of readers and a wide variety of interests. And further to Joel's point, that's another reason I really appreciated this project was their emphasis on being inclusive and diverse, which is why we have Café Joyeux, which means joyful cafe. And it's staffed with people with autism and Down syndrome. We also have LGBTQ plus bookshops and bars. And then one of my favorites is a bakery, which won the city's annual Best Baguette Award. But the baker is an immigrant from Sri Lanka who knew nothing about baking until he moved to Paris. And he actually has an allergy to wheat, but he's so determined that, he mitigates it somehow. But, I love those kinds of stories, that tell you about real Paris. Also, and if I'm going too much, feel free to break in. But as part of my research, I also used government archives. So the French Ministry of Culture has an online database where you can search up historic monuments and historic facades. And so that really helped because, of course, the book is about Paris shopfronts. And so while doing this research, it's through this database that I found a store specializing in honey, Maison du Miel. And so its facade is a historic monument. You wouldn't really think so, but it is. And I also found a few bakeries that had historic facades and a fishmonger, turned restaurant. We also wanted to, as Joel mentioned, include some niche and unassuming spots. So we have a shop that specializes in the Japanese beckoning cat, the figurine, doesn't this? That's what they specialize in. And then a spot that specializes in vintage movie posters, and luxury walking canes. So, I thought those were fun additions, and, those were directions from Ali and Joel. So that really was fun to discover these places. And just wrapping up, and this was a concern I brought early to Ali and Joel, and if you'll see there's a preface in the book, but one of my big worries was that the shops mentioned between writing and publication that they would close or go under, right? Because that's a unfortunate reality. So this is why I kind of stayed away from particularly trendy spots and, spots that are famous on social media. I had to really look into my own crystal ball and assess, do I think these businesses will last in the next 2 years? Because you remember, this was back in 2023, publication was 2025. So I had to look at, do I think they have longevity? And so in this way, I decided to kind of give credit to some of the pioneers in the city who have demonstrated staying power. So for instance, when I arrived in 2010, personally, I found the Asia dining scene a bit grim. But one of the trailblazers is Taverne des Zao. And I knew it when it started as a small family-run, no-frills restaurant in the 10th arrondissement. And, there was no frills about it, but the cuisine is from regional city of Xi'an in China, and it's really good. Today, it's a thriving business, has lots and lots of shops or restaurants in the city, and they're known for their biang biang noodles. So, that's just an example of just kind of giving you an idea of how we worked. Sorry if I ramble.
If I could say one thing, in addition to the problem that Vivian mentioned regarding places that would open and close, that's one of the things we've had to deal with for the other books. And it's funny, but when I'm sure, Vivian, when you were going through it, it is kind of, it's a filtering process. Like you're evaluating what is good and for what reason. And I think that's okay, because I think one thing that I've learned from doing all these books is you have no control over any of this. You could, like the New York book comes out, places close. That's just life. But there's the other factor that Vivian, you and I have talked about, where now we're filled with, and I'm sure Vivian, you every day experience this, the places that you did not include, places that we did not select. And it's like, oh, that place is so good for whatever reason. I like to say that all of these books are in some ways just a reference to, if you don't live in a certain neighborhood, it's for you to remember the importance of that shoe repair shop in your neighborhood, the small business that sells sandwiches that's close by you. Like, if your place isn't in here, this is like an homage to them through other places. And that's the best we can do.
The next one is Le Pont Traversé. And this is one of my favorites. Pont Traversé means the crossed bridge, I guess. This is in the Saint-Germain-des-Prés area. And this is one of the shops that literally stopped me in my tracks. And I remember the moment because it was so stunning. It's on a corner. And this place has had 3 lives. First, it was a butcher shop. And if you look above, you'll see Joel has illustrated them, the bronze bull heads at the top. And then it became a vintage bookstore, and they specialized in poetry, rare first edition books. One of its clients was supposedly former French President François Mitterrand. And now it is a gluten-free cafe. So, this is a really good example of a shop that illustrates the life cycle of historic shops in Paris, the many lives that it can have. And it's a testament to the ever-evolving city of Paris. Paris, part of its charm is its history, but part of its charm is also the fact that it's changing. So I recently went, and it's a very, very nice space. There's upstairs, there's a space for chats and working as well. So it's very nice. And the next one is...
Actually, if I could say one thing, sorry, Vivian. Going back to this one, like when we worked on the New York book, it was during COVID, it was in London as well. There was like this awareness of what places were doing to survive the pandemic business-wise. I think that's been an interesting thing about working on the Paris book, not so much because of that, but because of the longevity, like how old Paris is, that like finding like the timeline of the lives that storefronts or shops have had is so interesting and deeper, and how they've evolved over that time, I think is really cool. So it's fun to capture those kind of places. That's that.
Okay, and then this Librairie Galignani, this I would slip into the underappreciated category. We have the Shakespeare and Company. We all know Shakespeare and Company, and just the aforementioned Abbey Bookshop, which is also quite popular. But this bookshop is actually the oldest English language bookshop in France, and it's on Rue de Rivoli, and it has a very solid selection of English literature, contemporary, modern English lit. And poetry, but it doesn't really get a lot of love. So I wanted to, include that. Or from what I see, maybe I'm wrong, but viewers will tell me. The next one is Maison Boissier.
This one was also very hard to draw. There are a few in the book that have this, I don't know what that would be called, where it's set back from some pillars.
It's in the arcade, yeah.
In an arcade. Yeah, like finding out like how to capture the front when the front is blocked so closely. I think that looks really cool.
It does, yeah.
Next.
Okay. And then this one is Maison Boissier, and maybe, I don't know, Sylvia, maybe I'm wrong, but for me, it's another example of what I feel like is an underappreciated confectionery and candy store. It's very popular in Asia and in Japanese, in Japan. I don't know, I don't know if you think that's you tell me, but...
No, I'm very interested to learn about it, actually.
Okay. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but for me, I love this shop. It's a confectionery candy store, and you really are a kid in a candy store, quite literally, when you're inside. It's very fairy tale, Hansel and Gretel kind of esque. But it also has a lot of heritage. These bonbons from Maison Boissier were a favorite among Paris's theater goers. They're there's a socialite elite. It was a favorite for Victor Hugo as well. And the brand went out of business, but was resurrected by French entrepreneurs in the early 2000s. Maybe we can go to the next slide. I'll show you just actual pictures of the shop and the candies. But you can see, like, I personally am a sucker for packaging, but so the packaging is very pretty, very Art Nouveau. You have angels and cherubs on the boxes, and the candies are very good. I don't know if you can see, but I have
Excellent.
heart-shaped jelly, and I have not eaten one because I was saving it to show you. Yeah, so definitely a great spot for souvenirs and candies.
Yeah, and they make a really nice souvenir.
Exactly. That's all from my end.
And of course, you can get Paris Shopfronts in your favorite bookstore, and you can also read the QR code on the screen and go directly. It'll take you directly to the link, and it's correct me if I'm wrong, but on the book, people can see the illustration, read the story of why you picked it and the story of each shop, and they can look up the address, I imagine. So it's like a treasure hunt. Go find these in real life. And then if you would like to follow Joel and Vivian's work, you can find them on Instagram at Joel Holland Studio and Vivian Song, both on Instagram. Fantastic. Thank you very much. This was really, really, I like, I don't know if you can see this applause emojis and heart emojis coming up. And I will go directly to the questions, and let me see. We have a question. It says, have you received any feedback from a shop owner that has seen their shop in the book?
Yes. So I think what the publisher does is, what Prestel does is they'll send out a message to every place in the book, letting them know that they're in the book, if they want a copy, sharing social media, etc. And sometimes that happens and they get no response. Sometimes that happens, they say yes, and then they get the book or whatever. And then sometimes I will, out of the blue, and Vivian, you probably too, I'll get a message or an Instagram hit of some kind with some kind of image of them with the book in front of their place.
That's nice.
It's very sweet. Every time it happens, it warms my heart, because it's really, it's not why I started doing this at all, but it's kind of, now I feel like why I do it. Like
Yeah.
it's not, I didn't make these shops, like they did. So like they run it, they've came up with the idea, they've taken all the risks, and for them to share their feelings about what we did is really sweet.
Yes, yeah, it keeps you going. Also, you want to do another one, right? Yes.
And I have to say, the response, the response from Paris has been quite good. Similar to that of New York, I would say, is the shop owners seem to be, a lot of the shop owners are active on Instagram. They are cognizant of this project and what we're trying to do. And all of the response has been really good. So it's sweet.
Fantastic. Do we have another question? I don't know, Vivian, did you have any experience of somebody who saw their shop in the book?
Similar to Joel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing it on social media, they're sharing it. One of them was Le Pain qui Boit, the alcohol-free wine shop. Yeah, so that was fun.
And another question is, I guess this one's for Joel. Is there what is the difference in the approach of an illustration about the shopfront as opposed to taking a photo?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a photographer, so I don't have that mindset. And then whenever I do try to take a picture, I feel like I'm quite bad at it. When I'm taking my pictures of these places, like what I would do for New York and for Brooklyn, I take several and I'm trying just to get the details. I'm not concerned about the lighting or anything like that. I think regards to answer the question properly, I'm trying to capture the basics, the bones, in an initial reaction type of way. But I don't know if the drawing is finished until I've created an emotion, if I've captured the emotion that the place is presenting. Like if someone asked me to draw a McDonald's, I might find it, no offense to McDonald's, but I would find it a little bit difficult to conjure the proper emotion, right? I think with these places, for us, knowing what we go through for the selection process, knowing with respect to Vivian that who she is, that she's selecting good places, I feel like I have work to do to capture that emotion and to adequately represent it.
And for you, Vivian, is it different to work with when you're writing something that has been illustrated as opposed to accompanied by photos?
That's a good question.
I don't think so. I think if anything, the illustrations are, because Joel's illustrations, they really capture the essence. They capture the charm of a place in ways that you may not have really noticed before. For instance, the Le Dôme, that one, for instance, the lettering, I was so striking. It jumps off the page at you. So in these ways, he really captures the essence that maybe a photo can't, because it's his interpretation of the spot. And so sometimes maybe those details that you may not have seen before in a photo, it brings out different elements of a shot, which can maybe put you on a different path of viewing a spot rather than a photo.
Absolutely true. And before I forget, let me announce the winner of the giveaway, the lucky recipient of a copy of Paris Shopfronts is Jean, and your last name starts with a K. So we will reach out to you. Congratulations, Jean. Oh, I see the little applause. I see Jean. And we will be in touch, Jean, with you via email to get your details for shipping. And I hope you enjoy the book. I'm sure you will. I think this book is such a fantastic gift because for anybody, even if they're very, very familiar with Paris, this just gives you a completely different angle to approach your own Paris flanneries, like explorations. So we're kind of running out of time a little bit. So is there any future projects you're working on right now?
Vivian, do you have anything you want to say?
Well, one is related to the book. I have a column in National Geographic coming out, National Geographic Traveler, where I talk about a bit of my inspiration, including Le Pont Traversé behind the book. So, if you're interested in a bit of a more personal essay, there's that.
Congratulations.
And I'm working with Ali again and David Dodge, the writer for the New York book and the Brooklyn book, on a new book to come out next spring, I think, of NYC street vendors. So like hot dog carts, food trucks, coffee carts, market stalls, things like that. That's what we're working on now.
That sounds fascinating as well. So, well, thank you very much. And thank you to Prestel Publishing for letting us borrow Vivian and Joel. I know you must be very busy with the launch. And let me invite everybody to join us for the next event. It's our next live event is on May 18th for a virtual stroll along Rue des Vinaigrières and the atmosphere of Canal Saint-Martin. Writer Jeffrey T. Iverson guides us through the atmospheric neighborhood that has been revived by a new generation of artisans in food, fashion, and craftsmanship. So we'll hope to see you all there. Did you find any shopfronts in that area, Vivian and Joel in Canal Saint-Martin?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me. I ask you all. I'll jump this.
I'm sure there's because it's such an interesting area in the way that it has changed so much in for Paris relatively short period of time, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
So we'll get the book and explore Canal Saint-Martin, and I hope you can join us with Jeffrey on the 18th because his talks are fantastic, and he does not a similar job like you're doing, but he picks one street and then goes shop by shop and first the general history of the street, how it has changed, and then he interviews the owners of the small restaurants or family-owned shops and tells us their stories, and it's always very surprising. And these little streets that you would pass without noticing, and suddenly he just opens it's a whole new universe in there, much as you do with your book. So, well, thank you again, and thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you on the next event. So, from all of us at Bonjour Paris, merci et à bientôt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.